And good Wednesday afternoon. My name is Ryan Belmore. I'm the owner and publisher of What's Up Noop. It is Wednesday, July 14th, 12:30 p.m. And Frank Prozich joins me, as he normally does, as my sidekick here, and bringing us an important conversation today.
How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, we're going to be talking with the General Treasurer Seth Magaziner. Lots of things going on in his office, and of course, we're going to put him on the spot a little bit and see whether or not he's ready to come out and announce for governor.
And he is here with us. I was going to put him on the spot. And good afternoon, Treasurer.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me back. It's good to see you.
I just want to let you know, when Frank says he's going to put you on the spot, and when I say I'm going to put you on the spot, it's two different. My on the spot was, are you more of a coffee milk guy or a frozen lemonade guy?
Well, this time of year, definitely frozen lemonade. No question.
All right. I'm going to move out of the way and let Frank ask a little bit more important questions.
Well, no, that opens up a whole different avenue now.
It does.
These are the hard-hitting issues that voters want to know about.
Yeah, nobody else is going to ask you that. So welcome. It's good to see you, and it's good to have you back. Lots of stuff we want to talk about. Unclaimed property, which has been an incredible program over the years, not only in Rhode Island, but across the country. And you're sending out something like 15,000 checks?
Yeah, one of my priorities as treasurer has always been to help Rhode Islanders become more financially secure. And we do that in a number of different ways. We do it by supporting small businesses. We do it through our management of the state pension system, economic development. And one of the ways that we do it is by reuniting Rhode Islanders with their missing money. Our office is tasked with helping Rhode Islanders be reunited with money that is owed to them. And when I took office, we totally transformed the unclaimed property system. It used to be that you had to know that you were missing money, and you had to proactively reach out and contact the office and fill out a bunch of forms and go through a whole process. And we modernized the whole thing. So where now we're able to send checks out in the mail automatically to thousands and thousands of Rhode Islanders, and they don't even have to know that they were missing money. We'll just do it. So we just are doing another check run this month. We're sending out unclaimed property checks to 15,000 Rhode Islanders. The amounts vary from as little as $2 to as much as more than $10,000. And of course, this is important because the price of everything is going up. A lot of people are struggling to pay the bills, and we are doing our very best in the Treasurer's office to reunite Rhode Islanders with this missing money. The last thing I'll say about it, just for everyone who's watching at home, even if you don't receive a check in the mail from us in the next couple weeks, we still encourage everybody to log on to the website to see if we have any unclaimed property for you. Because even though we've automated a lot of the system now, we will only send out checks if we're pretty sure they're going to the right addresses. And so some of this unclaimed property we have to hold back because we don't have an up-to-date address. And so you should go to the website, www.findrimoney.com. I see it's flashing at the bottom of the screen, which is very helpful. And go to findrimoney.com and see if we have any missing money for you. Our job is to make Rhode Islanders more financially secure, and that's what we're looking to do.
So if somebody suddenly opens their mail and they find a check that is supposedly from unclaimed property, and of course, we're in a very skeptical kind of society these days. And they go to the unclaimed property division and they take a look at the records online and they look for their name and it's not there. Is that something to be concerned about, or does that cease to exist once the check is sent out?
So the name should still be on the website, but it depends. It could be that you're getting unclaimed property that was owed to a family member who's deceased or something like that. But if you'd like to double check, by all means, go to findrimoney.com. I will say, usually scammers are trying to take money from you, not give it to you. So we haven't run into a lot of issues with that sort of thing. But certainly, if anyone, we will not through the mail ask you for, your social security number or other personal identifying information. If someone were to do that, then you should certainly contact our office. But
so if somebody gets a check in the mail, and it asks for certain information, is that reason to be concerned, or is there anything that you get back typically when somebody gets a check in the mail just to verify that in fact they've received it?
So again, all of these checks that we're sending out this week, it's just a check that you can put in your bank account, that you can cash. We are not asking you for any information. The only exceptions are sometimes if it is an especially large amount, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, then we do ask those individuals to contact our office before we send the check, because we want to be extra sure that we're giving the money to the right person. So if you are one of the lucky 15,000 and you get a check in the mail, just go ahead and cash it. There's a small number of people who, instead of checks, they're getting letters basically telling them to contact us so that we can do a little extra diligence. But for the most part, this is just money that people can put into their accounts. Or if you don't get a check, if you're watching and you're wondering if we have any missing money for you, you should go to findrimoney.com to search our online database.
It's pretty incredible what people can find. And sometimes it's not nickels and dimes. It's a lot more than that.
Absolutely. It can be in the thousands or even the tens of thousands of dollars.
So talking about money, tell me about school funding, school and green infrastructure funding, and what is that about? And how does that school funding perhaps differ from the bond issue and the funding that was in this, or is probably in the current round of school construction?
So I was just in Newport yesterday presenting to the Newport Chamber of Commerce on this subject. School construction and school facilities is an issue that's very important to me. I started out my career as a public school teacher. Before I was a state treasurer, before I was Treasurer Magaziner, I was Mr. Magaziner, a 3rd and 4th grade teacher. And I know that every child in Rhode Island deserves to go to a school that is warm and safe and dry and equipped for 21st century learning, because the quality of a school building has a direct impact on the ability of teachers to teach and students to learn. So a few years ago, when then Governor Raimondo asked me to lead a state school construction initiative, I jumped at the opportunity. And back in 2018, we passed a major once-in-a-generation program to fix and replace school buildings all across the state of Rhode Island. And one of the projects that I'm most excited about is happening right in Newport. It's the new Rogers High School that's going to be breaking ground this fall. Under our program, the state is covering a majority of the cost of the new Rogers High School. That would not have been the case if we hadn't passed this school construction program. And not only is the new Rogers High School going to be terrific, it's going to have expanded career tech facilities. It's going to have more science labs. It's going to have a state-of-the-art library and media center. We're also expanding the Pell Elementary School and adding 8 new classrooms to Pell in Newport. So that's tremendous impact in just Newport alone. And the school construction program that we started is now rolling out across the state and having a tremendous impact. So far, statewide, we have allocated $1.3 billion to repair or replace 163 school buildings. Those 163 projects are creating more than 20,000 jobs, which we need in Rhode Island. But more important, those school projects are going to set Rhode Island students up on a path for longer term economic success, because they'll be better trained and better equipped to enter the 21st century workforce with better technology, better science labs, better career tech programs, and all the rest. So this is a win-win. The impact is statewide, and Newport is a great example of the impact of our school construction program.
Yeah, but of course, that's going to be contingent upon approval of the voters in a referendum.
Yeah, so the Newport voters have already approved their referendum. That was on the ballot this past November and passed by more than a 70% margin, I believe. So very strong support there. Listen, every community in Rhode Island has to make their own decisions for what projects they want to do and when they want to do them. I'm not going to come in and tell each city and town what they need to do. But what I hope every city and town will do is something big and ambitious and take advantage of this state money. This program that we passed, this state money is not going to be around forever. Communities have to get their applications in probably in the next year or so in order to get that funding. And so far, 22 of Rhode Island's 36 school districts have been approved for projects, and we encourage the other 14 to step up to the plate and do something.
some of those are major projects. I know that in the town of Westerly, it's been a real struggle for them to be able to address this, and they're going through the machinations right now again, and whether or not that, and they put a cap on what they're going to spend, which some people think is kind of arbitrary, that we really don't know whether or not, in fact, that's a dollar figure that fits the projects that they need to do. But it is a struggle. And we saw South Kingstown roundly defeated a school construction program.
Yeah, so those are the only two communities that have not approved or that have rejected referendums on school construction so far. There are 22 others that have approved significant programs, as I mentioned earlier. And so again, my message to school districts, whether it's Westerly or South Kingstown or anywhere, is listen, it's up to you what you want to do. It's your decision which schools you want to fix, which schools you want to replace. But my message and my ask is do something, because whatever you decide to do something, because every student deserves a high quality school building. There are deficiencies in existing school buildings in every city and town in Rhode Island. And we have a lot of state money available, but only for the next year or two. So whatever you're going to do, it's up to each community to decide what the best plan is for them. But do something, just like Newport has done, and Cranston and Providence and Pawtucket and Jamestown and communities all across the state.
So we know that building school construction is a jobs generator, certainly. I spent 10 years as editor of the Business News. I talked to a lot of business leaders. And it's also, as far as I could tell, a real economic generator, because when a company is deciding where it may or may not move, the quality of its educational system, not only in terms of executives who might move into the community, but in terms of developing those skilled workers for their companies, is critical. So it's those school construction projects equal improved economics.
Yeah, you absolutely nailed it. That's 100% right. Employers want to locate in places where there is talent, where there is a skilled workforce. And again, I say this as a former teacher, having modern school buildings is absolutely vital to that. You know, the largest high school in the state by enrollment is East Providence High School. And the old East Providence High School only had one science lab for 1,600 students to share. How are we going to attract high-tech companies to locate in Rhode Island and expand in Rhode Island when you have kids graduating high school without ever seeing the inside of a science lab? You know, you can't. The good news is that East Providence is one of those communities who is taking advantage of this program. They're building a brand new state-of-the-art high school that's going to have 10 science labs. So science labs, career tech facilities, early childhood facilities, media labs, maker spaces, all of these are features of new school buildings that will help our economy by making our workforce more competitive and more attractive to employers.
Tell us a little bit about the green funding.
Yeah, so another thing that I was in Newport talking about yesterday is the programs we started at the State Infrastructure Bank around green finance. So, the idea here is one of the biggest costs to a company or to a local government is energy costs. Energy costs in Rhode Island are high, and we have an opportunity to put a lot of people to work, create a lot of jobs by making buildings more energy efficient. That will create jobs, it will reduce energy costs, and also reduce our carbon footprint and make our state more environmentally friendly. So we set up these programs at the Infrastructure Bank back in 2015 to help fund energy efficiency improvements to buildings. And particularly, there are two programs that I'm especially excited about and proud of. One is called the CPACE program. It provides low-cost loans to businesses, small businesses, to help them with energy efficiency and renewable energy upgrades to their facilities. So think solar panels on the roof, geothermal energy, better insulation in the buildings to help make them more energy efficient. You can get a low-cost loan from the Infrastructure Bank to make these improvements to your businesses, save money on your utility bills for your business, and employ people at the same time. The very first business in Rhode Island, we launched this program about 5 years ago. The very first business to get one was also in the Newport area. It was Embrace Home Loans, which has its headquarters in Middletown. They took a C-PACE loan to put solar panels on their roof. And then there are a number of small businesses all across the Newport area that have benefited from the C-PACE program on energy efficiency. Steel Giraffe in Portsmouth is another one. Over in South Kingstown, Pier Cleaners. Actually, dry cleaners have benefited a lot from this program because dry cleaners use a lot of electricity. The second program at the Infrastructure Bank that we started for this is called the Efficient Buildings Fund. And it's a very similar concept. It's low-cost loans for energy efficiency, but this is for cities and towns and municipal governments to help taxpayers save money on energy costs. One of the beneficiaries, early beneficiaries of this program was actually the Newport County Water Authority. The Newport Water Treatment Center, like all water treatment centers, uses a lot of energy, and they were able to get a low-interest loan from the Infrastructure Bank through this program that we started to put solar panels at the wastewater treatment facility in Newport. So now Newport's water system is largely solar powered. Again, that lowers energy costs. That means lower water rates for ratepayers, which is good for business, good for families. And it also meant upfront jobs in the installation of these solar panels. So all of this, the green infrastructure programs, the school construction initiative, unclaimed property, all examples of ways that we've used the Treasurer's Office to help bring jobs to Rhode Island and benefit the business climate and also make our state more livable.
How do people apply for these programs, the green funding programs?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is to just go to the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank website. There's information about all of these programs and other services that they offer as well. And again, the city and town managers tend to be all over this. They know all about the Infrastructure Bank programs and they have been taking advantage of them. But for businesses, if you're hearing this, if you're a dry cleaner or a manufacturer or a restaurant, go to the Infrastructure Bank website. It's www.riib.org for Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, www.riib.org. And there's information about all of these programs and how you can apply.
Are nonprofits eligible?
Yes, they are. Absolutely.
Do you know if there's been many that have applied and taken advantage?
Yeah, there have been some. For example, there's a couple of daycares, like childcare centers that are nonprofits that have done solar on their roofs if they own their facilities. You have to own a facility, but many nonprofits do, of course. And so they have taken advantage of the C-PACE program.
I wanted to switch gears a little bit to this CNBC report that, it sounds dire that Rhode Island is ranked 46th among 50 states in which to do business. But truth be told, that's an improvement from 50th of was it last year or the year before? Talk to us about that. Where are we deficient, and how do we improve our attractiveness to businesses, and how do we make it better for businesses within Rhode Island to be able to thrive and stay here? One thing, a quick note: when I was editor of the Business News, I took note of companies that talked about expansion. There were companies that were in Rhode Island because of long-standing traditions, but when they built another plant, they did it somewhere else. They didn't do it in Rhode Island because it just was not a good economic decision for them. They wanted their presence here, but they looked elsewhere where, in fact, it was a more fiscally sound for them to locate.
Yeah. Well, as you can tell, and as those who are watching can probably tell, for me, as state treasurer, it's all about the economy. It's all about bringing jobs to Rhode Island. It's all about strengthening Rhode Island's economy. That's what I think about when I get up every day. And, frankly, I am sick of Rhode Island always being ranked near the bottom when it comes to the strength of our economy and our business climate. And it's not just CNBC. The data shows that the economic recovery in Rhode Island has been slower than in most other states. We still have 40,000 fewer jobs today than we did back in February of 2020 before the pandemic, and we've regained jobs at a slower rate than any other New England state. So we have to refocus and focus in a smart way on making the right investments for building a stronger 21st century economy in Rhode Island. So here are the things that I think Rhode Island should prioritize. Number one, as we discussed before, it is all about skills in the workforce. So doubling down on career tech programs, making it easier for mid-career Rhode Islanders to go back to school and get more training and more credentials, investing in our people, because ultimately the best jobs go to where the talent is. That has to be pillar number one. Number two, in the CNBC rankings, the category where we rated the lowest was infrastructure. And so we need to rebuild our infrastructure to meet the needs of the 21st century. Not just roads and bridges, though those are important, but broadband. Rhode Island could be a great remote work destination, could be a great destination for high-tech companies if we invest in broadband access. Climate resiliency, particularly big issue in the Newport area. We have an issue with rising sea levels. We have an issue with more extreme weather events. So building up our infrastructure to be more climate resilient is important. Expanding our supply of affordable and workforce housing is an important category of infrastructure. Building out public transportation networks. So a more modern 21st century infrastructure is vital to improving in these rankings. And then, the third thing I would highlight is we need to get back to the nuts and bolts of making it easier to start and run a business in Rhode Island, whether it's a Main Street diner or a high-tech startup. One day soon, the federal stimulus money will be gone. The grants and the loans and all of that will be over. And we need to refocus on the nuts and bolts of cutting red tape, reducing unnecessary friction to starting a business, streamlining things, putting resources online, providing technical assistance, doing those nuts and bolts things that, frankly, other states have often done better in making it an easier place to start and grow a business in Rhode Island. At the end of the day, we have a lot of great things in our favor. We have tremendous natural beauty. We have great quality of life. We have some strong anchor institutions. We have all the right ingredients for success, but we need, as a state government, to prioritize building a more modern economy.
The last piece, the regulatory stuff, the making it easier to do business. When I talk to businesses in and out of the state, that's their number one priority. I've known many businesses that have just sat there and waited for a decision. They didn't care anymore what the decision was. They just wanted a decision so they could move on.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's the kind of thing that builds up over time and frustrates people, and it's unnecessary. I mean, these days, permitting, all of that should be online. Decisions should be made quickly. I think when I talk to most businesses, they don't expect that they're going to be able to do whatever they want whenever they want it. They know that there have to be rules, there have to be environmental rules, there have to be taxes and all the rest. But to your point, Frank, if they're applying for a permit or if they want a decision, they just want to know. They just want to know quickly, one way or the other, whether they can do something or not.
And it would also make sense to me that the specifications that exist for certain jobs, carpentry, whatever it is, should be consistent from one community to another, not all over the place.
Yeah, let's take advantage of our small size and have more uniform requirements across communities. Absolutely. People don't expect government to solve all their problems, but they do expect government to work efficiently and to be fair. And that's what we ought to shoot for.
So I know you don't have a lot more time left, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this question. You are term limited as of next year. You have clearly been rumored as among a significant group that is planning to or hoping to run for governor in the Democratic primary. Have you made that decision yet?
I haven't yet, but let me say this. I care very much about Rhode Island. I want Rhode Island to be a place where anyone who is willing to work hard can get a good job and build a good living. Things like these CNBC rankings motivate me to consider running, because I believe that Rhode Island can do better and must do better. In my time as treasurer, we've shown that we can get big things done, like the statewide school construction program, the infrastructure bank. And I think that we need to do big things statewide to build a stronger economy for Rhode Island so that people can build a good life here. And so I haven't made a decision yet. It's a big decision. It's a decision that I'm talking about with my wife. We have a lot of factors to consider, but I am motivated by things like these CNBC ratings, because I believe in my core that Rhode Island can do better.
So would I be correct to assume that that's a likely?
It's something that I'm strongly considering.
Okay. General Treasurer Seth Magaziner, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate it, and good information this morning. So interestingly, we got I think a form that asks for a certain information relative to unclaimed property. If you get that form, be in contact with the treasurer's office, make sure that it's correct, and retrieve your money. The
good news is if you got a form instead of a check, it probably means that it's a lot. So definitely let's follow up afterwards. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Ryan. It's good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Well, Ryan, you might do better if you turned off the mute.
I'll tell you, technology this week.
It's unbelievable, huh?
Yeah, but yes, thank you, General Treasurer Seth Magaziner, for joining us. Website's running along the bottom there, the findrimoney.com, to find out if you have some money coming your way or if you have to reach out. And then riib.org for the information about the Efficient Buildings Fund, Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy, and more. So great discussion.
One of the things I found interesting was in terms of the infrastructure bank, nonprofits. I wasn't sure that they were eligible. And so I'm going to bet there are a lot of nonprofits that have not explored that as a possibility. And hopefully maybe we've enlightened some people.
I hope so. And if you missed any portion of this conversation, or if you want to share with a friend, family, nonprofit, you can find it available on whatsupnoop.com, as well as on our Facebook page, and as well as on our YouTube page. So, all right, Mr. Prosnitz, thanks much. And we already have another discussion with our leadership coming up next week.
Secretary of State Nellie Gorbea will be with us. And so, we have he wouldn't say likely, but I think I heard that. And we know Nellie Gorbea has already announced that she's running for governor. So they're all falling into place.
Excellent. All right, my friend, we will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
On behalf of Frank Prosnitz and myself, all of us here at What's Up Newt, we thank General Treasurer Seth Magaziner, Mr. Magaziner, for joining us today. That's going to do it for us. Again, share with your friends, family, and anybody who might find this information helpful, especially those who are elderly and who may not be watching us on the interwebs. Send them that findrimoney.com and other information. Thanks for